Hi guys. As you can see, I'm not in the studio today. Now, sorry, I'm just um, fiddling around with technology at the moment. It's driving me potty. So today, rather than doing a workout, what I'm actually going to do is address some nutrition, which I haven't done for a very long time, in regards to actually addressing people in public about it. But sorry guys, I'm just trying to sort out my stupid internet. Um, so that I can actually see you. I'm having to use my phone. Right, okay. I think we've got some internet now. Keeps dropping out. It's horrendous at the moment. Don't know if anyone else is experiencing the same thing. So today is going to be a nutrition kind of question and answer situation. So obviously, in light of everything that's going on, I've had a lot of people asking me about, what's the best thing to eat, help fight off infection, etc. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Hey Julia, hey Paul. So what I'm going to do is just check that everyone can actually hear me, because at the moment I have my microphone and everything on, and I think I'm set up in my spare room at the moment because downstairs Jamie's playing on his PlayStation, and there's lots of whooping and hell yeah and all that sort of nonsense going on. So excuse me if I keep looking down. I'm just checking my phone for responses. Um, I can see you're actually commenting, but nothing's coming up on my screen. You can hear me, good. That's excellent. Okay, so today what I'm going to do is I'm going to test out some stuff as well, because obviously, as you know, I'm a bit of a technophobe. So I've been playing around with technology today, and so I'm going to try and put things in screen. So what's going on today? Hey, thanks Toby, cheers. Is I'm going to talk about foods and the way we eat and what vitamins and minerals and stuff that we can help bolster our immune system, fight off infection. But most people, when they think of vitamins and minerals, they think of immediately of multivitamin and mineral complexes and stuff like that, which are fine in themselves. But what they don't include is all the sort of flavonoids and sort of antioxidants and stuff like that that go in our natural foods. So what I'm going to address today is how we would eat naturally in order to achieve what we want to do when we take vitamins and minerals. So I'm going to talk about the major ones that help boost our immune system. I'm looking in the wrong place. I am looking in the wrong place, mate, because I've got a phone, a laptop and a camera at the moment, so I'm trying to talk to several different aspects at a time. So if I'm looking down, it's actually because I'm looking at response to see what's going on, because it's not coming up on my camera, obviously. Hi Emma. So what I'm going to talk about today is, obviously a lot of people talk about vitamin C. Vitamin C is great for your immune system. People probably underestimate how much they actually do need to bolster their immune system. Our recommended daily intake is not the same as what we would take to help fight off infection. So if we were fighting off infection, we would be looking at around 1 to 2 grams of vitamin C, or 1,000 milligrams. If we just eat our normal recommended daily intake, you're probably looking at around, I can't remember what the exact amount is, but I think it's 90 milligrams, I think. But I'm going to have to double check on that. I should have done that before I kind of started doing this. Hey Zany, you alright, darling? I look rough as a badger's ass, but thanks for saying so. So yeah, so we're going to talk about vitamin C. Now, what foods? Now, I'm going to try something here. Let's see whether we can actually get this to come on. Are you ready for this? This is where I'm going to attempt technology and see whether or not it actually works. Because when I get involved with technology, it normally goes horrifically wrong. Yes, it worked. Look at that. I have just entered the world of technology. So I'm just going to move to one side. So vitamin C. You'd be surprised where you can find vitamin C. When people think of vitamin C, they think of things like oranges, um, citrus fruits. Most people think of fruits when they think of vitamin C. What we're actually going to look at is surprising sources of vitamin C that we don't actually think of, and we probably already include in our diet but don't actually realise. So, lemons, great for your gin and tonic. They're a great vitamin C source. Obviously, they're citrus fruit, and most citrus fruit will contain vitamin C. I mean, oranges, an average medium orange would contain around 70 milligrams of vitamin C. Lemons, obviously, being a bit smaller, it's slightly less. So, rose hips, it's not something I think is included in most people's diets, to be perfectly honest, unless you're one of these kind of people that like to experiment with weird and wonderful antioxidants and strange foods. Chili peppers, oh my goodness, those things are packed with vitamin C, and not only that, we have beta carotene, we have loads of flavonoids in there, we have loads of added antioxidants in our chilies. Strawberries, everyone loves a strawberry, don't they? And providing they're not greenhouse forced, they're going to be very rich in vitamin C. So that's something that we really want to look at in regards to food sources. And then we've got things like green veg. Potatoes has got vitamin C in it. I mean, they've got like 17 milligrams of vitamin C per sort of normal sized medium potato. You've got weird things like camu, which I actually take a supplement with that one, but it's kind of a fairly new one that's on the market. Cranberries, tomatoes. Tomatoes are really rich in vitamin C. So there's loads of things that we don't even think about that actually contain vitamin C that we can enrich our diets with. Another weird thing we don't think about, and I know a lot of people tend not to use them these days, but I do in absolute stacks, fresh herbs. So I'm going to ask you guys a question. Am I on your TV? Oh, look at me, I'm a film star. What about Terry's chocolate orange, Kathy? Um, I I'm gonna hazard a guess. There's not a great deal of vitamin C in there, but you know I could be wrong. Glammed up? I'm not. I haven't got any makeup on at all. This is my normal pallid um, look. Yes, yes. I haven't actually got any. Look, no makeup. This is my face. Okay, so yes, in regards to vitamin C, lots of different sources that we probably didn't even think about, but one of the major ones, and I bet you can't think of a herb that is rich in vitamin C. I'm going to surprise you now. Okay, so it's going on now. If technology is going to be friendly with me, here it goes. Anyone know what that is? The red hot chili peppers. Yeah, just listening to those get stack loads of vitamin C. You're right, Phil. So yeah, look at that. Good old time. It's great. It's a good source of vitamin C. Uh, yeah, I bet you wouldn't have guessed that. So 2 tablespoons of thyme. You know, you chuck in shepherd's pie or whatever. That's going to contain 7 milligrams of vitamin C. So quite surprising considering it's a humble herb. Something else that we would not necessarily think of that would contain rich sources of vitamin C is the humble parsley. So 8 grams, which is actually quite a lot volume-wise, but it still contains 10 milligrams of vitamin C. So there's loads of sources that we don't really think of. I'm a big fan of thyme. Yeah, spelt slightly differently than that, Kathy. Yeah, so, but you did guess right, so I'm going to give you that, spelling mistakes aside. So another source of vitamin C, and probably one that you know about because people recommend. Oh no, not that one. We've had that one already. Hang on. This is where I get bummed by technology. Is this one? So, no. Good old ginger. And a lot of people use this in teas and tinctures. It's great with a bit of honey. Fresh ginger, not powdered ginger or dried ginger. Dried ginger doesn't contain as much vitamin C as fresh ginger. You can boil it down as well, so you can make cough syrups from it. It's great with natural honey. Ginger root, yeah, well done, Zany. So these are surprising sources of vitamin C that we probably weren't aware of. I thought that was the birch that you used to get on Borstal Butter. You're letting out your deep secrets. Okay, so I'm going to take those off. So look at that, me getting down with the technology, huh? So yeah, great. So this is a great source of vitamin C and unexpected sources of vitamin C. So we don't always have, we don't always realise what we're eating in regards to vitamins and minerals. So other sources of antioxidants or helping to bolster the immune system. We've gone through vitamin C, which was really the obvious one that everyone talks about, but there are several others that I believe that people aren't that aware of and actually really do help. One of them is vitamin D. So vitamin D doesn't always get included in our group of foods that we would necessarily have to help bolster our immune system. But vitamin D does help with calcium and phosphorus absorption. And we need this for the growth of teeth and bones, which we all know about. But what we don't really know about is that it actually does aid in immune function, and it also helps people with suppressed thyroid function. So those of you that do have lower thyroid function for whatever reason, whether you have, I've just touched my face. I've just touched my face. I can't believe I've gone all day and I have not touched my face. This is what you get when you're distracted. So yeah, suppressed thyroid function is quite a common one these days for various reasons, whether it's actually your thyroid not producing thyroxine, or whether or not you have an autoimmune disease which affects your thyroid release. But this will help. Vitamin D we don't just get from food substances, we also get from, this is like being at school, isn't it? Where do we get vitamin D from? I'm going to pop it up there so you can see it. So there's several sources of vitamin D. We get it from dairy, so cheese, butter, milk. We can also get it from some nuts, some fish, and obviously the one that we don't think about because we don't get it an awful lot in this country, sunshine. So we've had a few days of sunshine, ginger cake. Yeah, it doesn't kind of work that way. Why is it all your questions are about cake, Kathy? Just, curious. So, so whole grains as well contain vitamin D. There was a few. I've lost my train of thought now because I'm now thinking about ginger cake, which is awesome. Don't apologise, Kathy. It's fine. I've seen your cakes. No wonder people are obsessed with them. So, yeah, we get a lot of stuff from vitamin D, which does help with the immune system. And those are food sources that will contain vitamin D, and obviously the sunshine that does help. So far we've had vitamin D and vitamin C, which can help. And then we're going to move on to, let me just take that down. I feel like I'm sitting in a classroom. Benny's just joined us. Hi, Benny. Let's go. You're going to come up? Come on in. Here we go. So this is Benny. He's gonna demonstrate how not to do a video cast with animals. So moving on, we're now going to address vitamin B12. Now, probably a few of you have heard about vitamin B12 over the years because it started to kind of become a more common deficiency in adults. Vitamin... You right? You good? Yeah? Okay. Vitamin B12, what does it do? It helps prevent anemia. It protects your nervous system. Now, your nervous system is very synergistic with your immune system. If your nervous system is stressed, so is your immune system. It improves your concentration and helps aid your digestion. So those of us that have digestive disorders like IBS or celiac disease or Crohn's or colitis, we generally will need large doses of B12 to help us digest our food and actually get proper nutrition from our food. When I was first diagnosed celiac, I was very B12 deficient, mainly because I don't actually know. I think it was caused by the celiac disease, and probably abusing my diet a little bit because I've never been one for holding an awful lot of weight, so I could kind of get away with not eating great, and kind of abused that over the years. And also, I couldn't absorb nutrients the same way as I had before, so I ended up very, very underweight, very poorly. So I actually needed initially weekly B12 injections, and then it switched down to monthly, and then eventually I can actually just take supplements and just eat well. So B12, this is a funny one as well, because B12, a lot of these will cross over. Obviously, I'll put things up and you'll go, oh yeah, but that was vitamin D. But obviously, food substances contain more than one vitamin, one mineral. So we've got, it's not very big on the screen, I'm afraid. I'm sorry. So B12 sources, we've got carrots, we've got papaya. That's a weird one. We don't get that a lot in this country. I mean, it's a lot better now than it used to be years ago, but there's some odd ones that we wouldn't think about coming onto the screen. Avocado, peppers, bell peppers are a great source of B12. Apricots, I love apricots. Apricots are an awesome source of B12. So peaches, so any of those sort of stuff, what you like to call fairy fruits, they're great for a B12 source. Sweet potato is another one. Yeah, no, we can't get it from sunshine at the moment, John. Sorry, can't get out. Oh, you can't bake at the moment, Kathy. I'm really sorry. We can have virtual baking. You can cook me cakes, and you can eat them and tell me what they taste like. Hi, Tracy. So yeah, we got various melon. So obviously, there's some tropical fruits in there we wouldn't necessarily always eat, but we do have more foods such as eggs and meat, red meat as well, especially that contain B12. Before the vegans go on to meltdown, I'm not specifically aiming this at any one group of people who have dietary prejudice. I'm just saying what foods contain those. Typically, vegans do tend to be quite B12 deficient, mainly because it's difficult sometimes to eat the variants of foods in the quantities that you need them to provide the minerals and vitamins that you need. I'm not saying it's impossible, it's not, far from it, but obviously you need to be a little bit educated about what your body needs so that you can make sure that you eat the foods in the right quantities to maintain good health. And quite often, especially when people get into these kind of extreme diets, and when I say extreme, I mean we're eliminating large varieties of food. So I'm not saying that it's wrong or right. I'm really not. But what I'm saying is that you are eliminating big, big areas of food groups that you could normally eat. Things like dairy, and eggs, and cheese is dairy, meats and stuff like that. So what I'm saying is that you just have to be a little bit more savvy about your food and how you vary it to make sure that you get the right quantities of vitamins and minerals that you need to support your immune system. So far we've had C, D and B12. So what we're going to move on to now is, and let me just take that off, vitamin. Hang on, let me just move the thing because I'm running out of room here. Oh no, I've lost my vitamin E. Oh no, I haven't. There it is. Okay. So vitamin E. I'm going to move to that side because that one's quite large. Vitamin E. So vitamin E, avocados, olives, obviously they're not native to this country, neither is oregano, although we can grow it in this country quite happily. Mangoes, obviously not native, pistachios, kiwis. However, tomatoes are readily available, bell peppers are readily available, so if you're one of these people like I am myself, I try to eat more native food, seasonal native food. That's not to say I won't eat avocados or I won't eat pistachios. But I do try to eat stuff that's more native to our country, and I tend to eat seasonally as well. So whatever tends to be naturally available in our green grocers, our veggie shops, By the way, I do not shop in supermarkets. On the rare occasion that I go in there, it's normally for something that I can't get in my local shops. Don't touch your face. So I don't shop in supermarkets. I pathologically hate supermarkets. It's stressful. There's full of people that don't want to be there, and I just generally don't like supermarkets. So do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put this here because I feel like I'm kind of missing everyone's comments. There we go. So it's a little bit closer. So at least I'm kind of not doing the side eye. So bell peppers, I love bell peppers. I have them in the salads and stuff like that. So vitamin E, again, there's a lot of crossover with these. Vitamin D contains a lot of foods that contain D. Also, it's full of bellends. That's pretty much my life, buddy. My whole life is full of bellends, namely you lot, actually, but in a good way. In a good way. So we've done C12, B12, vitamin E, and vitamin D. So now we're going to move on to B5. So I'm just going to take this one down. And I'm going to move this one up. Oh my goodness, that's a big one. Hold on. Let's move that to one side. Oh, it's all going horribly wrong. Where's it gone? B5. Let's move that over there. Sorry, I'm having to move things around on my desktop so that I can actually see what's going on. So that's a big one. Obviously didn't plan ahead that one. So I'm going to kind of move to this side. There we go. I'm going to casually lean on the table and swish my hair and just try and look cash. So B5, again, we have various foods that contain B5. So, but again, it's the crossover between B5 and B12 is actually quite close. So we've got broccoli, we've got parsley, we've got chicken, we've got fish, we've got peas, we've got oats, milk, dairy, coconut, hazelnuts. They all contain B5. B5 is very good for helping with fighting infection. It strengthens your immune system, and I'm kind of off to one side here, but I'm just kind of leaning. Strengthens the immune system and helps actually open wounds heal. So B5 is very important for helping fighting off infection. Said the actress to the bishop, yeah. Sorry, there's a bit of a lag, so I'm getting these comments up, and they're probably a bit after the fact that I've made some kind of comment. So I'm doing my best here, guys. So yeah, so B5 again. So that's something else. So far we've hit quite a few vitamins. We've got A and B1 to finish with. At the risk of waffling, I'm going to move that. Hang on. So vitamin A. How big is that? Not very big. That's great. So again, vitamin A responsible for helping with immunity. Also helps with eye problems, skin disorders, and bones and teeth formation. So it's not just vitamin D that helps with bone and teeth formation. Vitamin A is also responsible for that too. And here's one for the ladies. It's also anti-aging. So it's really good for helping with just general well-being and helping boost or bolster the immune system. The one thing about vitamin A is it is fat soluble, and it is easy to overindulge on vitamin A via supplementation. It's quite hard to do it via what you're eating, but it is very easy to do it via over supplementation. So when I refer to supplementation, I'm actually talking about taking tablets or multivitamins. Again, it's one of those vitamins generally that people. I'm going to move that back again now that I'm not taking up most of the space with a screen of various foods. So yeah, it's really easy to over dose on vitamin A. That was the word I was looking for. A dose. So generally, I say to people, as long as you're eating well, you should be able to hit your recommended daily intake of all of these things. However, if you are not eating well, it's very easy to be deficient. So what we're trying to do is address what you should be eating to help bolster your immune system in these sort of dark days that we're all housebound. You haven't got the excuse of not having time at the moment. You've got plenty of time. And even if you're not a good cook, I'm going to show you an example in a minute of a really nutritious meal that hits all of these quite happily and took literally 10 minutes to make. So our last one on the list is vitamin B1, so let me just take that off. Put that on there, move that across, okay. So B1, so you can see this common theme, really. Fish, pulses, greens, citrus fruits, or fruits in general. They're all kind of popping up here, there and everywhere. Oats is another one that I've not really kind of mentioned, but they're also quite rich in vitamin B1. So we're looking at this and we're going, okay, so basically, oh, the one exception, bread's popped up on there, and the reason why bread comes up is obviously because bread is a wheat-based product, or sometimes has oatmeal in it, and quite often is fortified with B1. So it's not particularly high in B1 naturally, but it will be fortified with it. So that is a good source of B1, but not naturally. If it was homemade bread, obviously you wouldn't be fortifying it, so it wouldn't necessarily be particularly high unless you were making bread with oats as well as wheat flour. So bread made with oat flour would be a little bit richer. Asparagus is another one. Green peas and Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts should be banned. I'm sorry, I don't care how good for you they are. They should be banned. So now we've hit kind of the antioxidants and stuff that I was kind of going to address, and the vitamins that I was going to address. So now what I'm going to sort of talk about is how would you hit those? And, you know, obviously you can have a plate full of veg and some plate full of meat and what have you. But there is a really simple way of doing this, and I'm just going to show you an example. I'm just going to take this down. I'm going to show you an example, if I can find it, because I put it somewhere, of what myself and my son ate today, which hit the nail on the head. So this meal here today is what my son and I had for lunch. I prepared this around 1 o'clock, and that's what we ate. So we've got some ham, some rolled chicken, some cheddar cheese, some cranberry cheese, carrots, lettuce. There is some herbs in there that you can't see because they're hidden. Tomatoes and yellow peppers, which are richer in vitamin C than green peppers or red peppers. So that's what we had for lunch. Oh, there's some corned beef on there, but that's because I really like corned beef. I know it's I know it's not great. I like corned beef, and so does my son. So that's what I prepared. It literally took me 10 minutes to cut up the lettuces and add the fresh herbs. There's some coriander in there, some parsley in there. Chop up the carrots, chop up the cheese, and we also had some olive oil and balsamic vinegar dressing on there as well. So that's what we had for lunch. So that just goes to show how quickly and easily you can prepare a meal that literally hits all of those things that I've been talking about just now, to help with bolstering your immune system. So the other thing that can affect your immune system is alcohol, drugs. Some medicated or medication will affect your immune system, and smoking, obviously, that's the old one. And I know a lot of people are going, oh, everyone goes about smoking. It's true. Smoking does affect how your body's immune system works. And I've just turned off my phone, so now I can't actually see anything. So as you can see, me and tech don't get on that great. Yeah, so it is really easy. Oh god, I just got a bit close to the camera there. You probably just got a scare of your life. So when we talk about antioxidants, foods that are good for the immune system, there are also things that are going to suppress your immune system. So we really want to avoid excessive amounts of alcohol, which is hard to do at the moment in the depressive state of lockdown that we are all in. So, and obviously smoking, those of you that do smoke, it's going to be hard not to in this particular kind of environment and situation. But if anything, there's less excuse for you to go to the shop and buy a packet of cigarettes, so the chances of you breaking the habit are higher because you're going to be on your own, got no other influences, it's going to be you and your willpower. So now's the point at which probably most of you have gone to sleep and buggered off because it's boring now. But I wanted to do this as a kind of live question and answer type situation. So I'm not just talking about what the subject that I've been going waffling on about for the last 30 minutes or whatever it is. Is there anything that you guys actually would like to ask in terms of helping yourselves with fighting off illness or infection, or what you can do? I'm not a doctor, so I can't give you medical advice. I'm not going to tell you what to do in the case of illness and stuff like that. I'm not doing that. What I'm saying is that if you want some help with food and eating and how you can help with your everyday well-being just through food, fire away. I've got my phone just below the camera, so hopefully I won't look like I'm kind of looking at you weirdly. So, and obviously there was a bit of lag. So, or you've all gone home and decided to ignore me. There is always one, John. There is always one, however it's normally you. Am I going to get any comments? No? Is everyone just bored shitless now? So yeah, I'm sitting here now wondering whether or not I actually had anyone watching this apart from John and Tracy. Watch out for questions and see if there's an offshoot. Oh, I've switched over. What's going on? Something's going on. Oh, spaghetti bolognese. Dude, seriously. I've actually got a lasagna cooking. So, sorry, I've just switched over to the laptop camera. I think my battery's run out on my camera. So it's just switched over to the laptop, which is, the quality's not great, but I've done what I needed to do, so it doesn't matter if the quality's not great. So it depends what you're putting in it, actually, Toby. If you've I obviously you've got red meat in there, which is going to have some of what I've talked about in there. So you can have D, you can have um, follow a healthy diet, as you know. However, it's great to hear your advice, especially for the immune system. Well, obviously, um, I am immunocompromised, so I do have issues with my immune system. So I do try to eat as healthily as I can. I'm not saying I'm a saint because I really am not. I'm quite fond of things that aren't great for you. Oh, hi Lainey. Hey Lincoln. That's really nice. Am I actually still on? I just wanted to check because I might be just talking to myself. So yeah, spaghetti bolognese will contain those vitamin A, vitamin D, E, B12. That would all be in your spaghetti bolognese. So yes, and if you've got a salad with it, even better. If you put carrots in it, which I do, great, you've got those in there. Okay, so Oh, I'm still on. Good, thank you, Tracy. So, okay. So, questions. Any questions about everyday diet that maybe you think you're lacking, or you probably need something extra and it's not, um, you're not really sure what to do in regards to nutrition? Carrots will be in next time for sure. Cool. Yeah, I always put carrots in, mainly because it makes it a little bit sweeter. And obviously, I don't have any problems with Jay eating veg at all. He's really good with it. I've never have had problems with him. The only thing he won't eat is sprouts, let's be honest. That's a fair point. Sprouts are gross. So I've never really bothered with kind of having to hide stuff. But something like spaghetti bolognese or shepherd's pie or anything like that, if you want to hide veg, that's a great way to hide veg. You can put peas in there if they can. If it depends whether or not they're one of those kids that doesn't like visible veg. But if you want something that's kind of hidden, you can mash it up. You can grate it. Anything like that, really. You get it. You get anemic. So obviously, that's a good one, actually. So anemia is something that's quite often kind of, and I'm not going to say this to come across as being offensive, because it's going to come across as offensive whichever way I look at it. Um, but obviously, when you're anemic, you get given iron supplements, because anemia is a lack of iron in the blood. But B12 is awesome for people who suffer from anemia. And normally, people who are anemic are B12 deficient. So, if you are B12 deficient, and it's worth actually asking your doctor for a test to find out whether you actually are. If you're B12 deficient, there's one of two ways you can do it. You can get B12 injections, or you can take B12 supplements. B12 injections are far better. They're much more bioavailable to your body than taking the supplements. You would have to take a lot more supplements, and obviously there's a lot of additives, that they tend to be using with caking agents and stuff like that, which can cause problems in themselves. So you can get B12 injections. You'll probably need only maybe 3 or 4 to bring your B12 back up, and then after that point, so if I remember rightly, aren't you vegetarian, Tracy? So this is also probably a reason why you're a little bit B12 deficient, and possibly why you are a little bit anemic. You're generally pretty healthy, John. Yeah, I know, buddy. How can I get enough iron without a ton of meat, as I don't eat a lot of meat? Okay, so green veg contains iron. Um, so again, in conjunction with what I've just been talking with Tracy, you probably also need to supplement with B12 as well. If you're vegetarian, not so much vegetarians, but vegans especially really suffer with low B12, and it's not. I'm not saying that as a criticism. I'm just saying it's hard to get enough B12 from your diet if you are vegetarian or you are vegan. So it's worthwhile getting the sup. You take a great B12 supplement by Bioactive for vegans. That's awesome, Tracy. That's awesome. So, but it is probably a reason you maybe need to up your 12 intake. You maybe need to take a bit more than what's actually in the supplement that you're taking currently. So maybe take some additional B12 and see what that does. Sorry, Tracy Howard, not you, Tracy Howard, not Tracy Doughty. So yeah, so take the B12 as an additional supplement to what you're taking at the moment, and just increase your levels a little bit, and you may find that does help. I don't know whether you're on iron supplementation at all. Drink a glass of Guinness a day, although I did say to avoid alcohol, didn't I? So yeah, so it is difficult for vegans and vegetarians. Going back onto subject, I get distracted easily, don't I? Yeah, it's going to be hard for you to get enough, but not impossible. So make sure you vary your sources, and if you do need to supplement. Getting your Tracy's confused. I ditch carbs through spring and summer and use loads and loads of spinach. This seems to make a massive difference to my health. Yeah, spinach is awesome. Spinach has got loads of stuff in it, and if your stomach can tolerate it, which mine can't, I have to be very careful with my fibre intake. If you be, oh, words. If you like spinach, I mean, you would have to eat kind of vast amounts to get the benefits, but it has a lot that, you know, they've recently been doing a lot of studies on it, for as in a sports performance enhancement, natural, obviously. So, and they're getting good results with it. So, spinach is pretty awesome as a supplement or a food that provides a lot of vitamins and minerals, B12 included, and iron, obviously. It's just that sometimes I'm not saying that these foods don't actually have what you need in them, but it's just the quantities that you need in them. So sometimes they're not rich enough, especially if you're deficient already. So if you're not deficient, what you eat is probably fine. But if you're deficient, you're going to struggle to build that up. You'd have to eat quite a lot of whatever it is you're choosing to eat to bolster those. So it's not always a case of uh, you're not eating the right things. It's just that you can't actually, if you're deficient already, you can't actually eat enough of it unless you're eating vast quantities. You eat loads of spinach, Tracy. You also eat sprouts, you freak. Oh, cough. Yes, I've got the lurgy. I don't actually know why you ditch carbs though, Toby, because carbs aren't evil. Um, Carbs are great. Carbs are a good source of energy, and as long as you're doing them properly, doing the carbs, you should be fine. I tend to keep my carbs. I carb cycle. I tend to keep them around my kind of heavier end of or energy output. I know you love sprouts. I just don't. Just think you're a weirdo. Fresh meats versus processed meats for vitamin intake. Definitely fresh meats. Processed meats go through a process, obviously. They also tend to have a lot of additives in them, so they will have nitrates and they will have a lot of kind of unnecessary sugars added to them, salts, preservatives, sometimes added fats for flavour. Um, it's not to say that processed meats are a bad thing intrinsically, but I think I much prefer fresh meats or unprocessed meats. So chicken breast, butcher sausages tend to be better than kind of the packet mass-produced stuff, and you know, yeah, they tend to also add water to processed meats as well to make them kind of fuller. Um, so yeah, they will be tend to be a little less heavy on the vitamins because they've been processed. So and the breakdown of those meats will interfere with the nutrients. It's the same as when you pulverise fruits or vegetables. You don't get the fibres, you don't get some of the trace antioxidants because they get broken down before you actually eat them. So, by way preference is going to be fresh, but I'm very aware of the fact that some people can't eat fresh, either through budgeting or just availability from wherever they are. So it's not always a case of being able to do that, and I totally understand that. It's just if you can eat fresh, eat fresh. You'll get a richer source of foods. Also, if you can eat foods that are in season rather than forced in greenhouses, which I try to do. Obviously, I don't do it all the time. I do like to have the odd thing out of season, but I generally try to eat in season because foods tend to be grown in fields or on the trees or wherever they happen to grow in the ground. Um, so they tend to be sort of a bit richer. They're not forced grown or they're not grown artificially, so they tend to be a little bit richer in nutrients, antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, etc. So again, it's not always possible. I try to support my local farm shops, my butcher. Like I said, I have a pathological hatred of supermarkets, so I try to avoid them as much as possible. So okay, so I think I've probably been waffling on enough, boring the tears out of all of you, to be honest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you with that. I've been bitten, great. But what I'm going to say is, if you guys can think of anything that you want to ask or a subject that you want me to cover tomorrow, again, I'm not going to. I'm going to be doing nutrition tomorrow. Then we're back to Monday, 5:30. We're going to be doing the fitness classes again. So, if you've got anything you want me to cover tomorrow, same time, 5:30, just drop a comment underneath, or send me a message if you want. It's fine, but yeah, just drop a comment underneath, and then I'll endeavour to answer your questions. If there's anything, even if you guys are kind of like, oh, how do you cook so and so? I like cooking. I cook a lot, so I can give recommendations. Or if you're just wanting to know random facts about nutrition, by all means, just pop a question underneath, and I'll put something together tomorrow. So I'm going to bugger off now because you're probably all bored shitless. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.